I'm really excited to share with you some findings that really surprised me about what makes companies succeed the most, what factors actually matter the most for startup success. I believe that a startup organization is one of the greatest forms to make the world a better place. If you take a group of people with the right equity incentives and organize them in a startup, you can unlock human potential in a way never before possible. You get them to achieve unbelievable things. But if the startup organization is so great, why do so many fail? That's what I want to find out. I want to find out what actually matters most for startup success. I want to try to be systematic about it, avoid some of my instincts and maybe misperceptions I have from some companies I've seen over the years. I wanted to know this because I've been studying businesses since I was 12 years old when I sold candies at the bus stop in junior high school, to high school when I made solar energy devices, to college when I made loudspeakers when I graduated from high school. I started 20 years ago, I started Idea Lab. And in the last 20 years, we started more than 100 companies, many successes and many big failures. We learned a lot from those failures. So I tried to look across what factors accounted the most for company success and failures. So I looked at these five. First, the idea. I used to think that the idea was everything. And I named my company How Deal I Live, how much I worship at the humble moment when I first came up with the idea. But then over time, I came to think that maybe the team, the execution, the adaptability, that mattered even more than the idea. I never thought I'd be quoting boxer Mike Tyson at the test stage. But he once said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And I think that's so true about business as well. So much about the team's execution is the ability to adapt to getting punched in the face by the customers. The customer is the true reality. That's why I came to think that the team maybe was the most important thing. Then I started looking business model. That the company have a very clear path generating to customer revenues. I started rising to the top of my thinking about maybe what matters the most for success. And I looked at the funding. Sometimes companies receive intense amounts of funding. Maybe that's the most important thing. And then they cost the timing. And the idea way too early and the worst scenario for it? Is it early and is it just right, or is it too late and is there already too many comparatives and across many companies? And I looked across all 100 Idea Lab companies and 100 non-Idea Lab companies to try to come up with something scientific about it. So first, on these Idea Lab companies, the top 5 companies, C-Search, Cataract, those all became billion-dollar successes. The 5 companies on the bottom, Z.com, Insider Pages, Smile Life, just desktop party people, we all have hope, but they didn't succeed. So I tried to rank across all those attributes how I felt those company stores and each of the dimensions, and I looked at why successes like Airbnb, Instagram, Uber, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And so from failures, Webvan, Cosmo, Pets.com, Fruits, and Friendsters. The bottom companies had intense funding, but they didn't succeed. I tried to look at what factor actually counted the most for success and failures across all these companies, and result really surprised me. The number one thing was timing. Timing account for 42% of the difference between success and failure. Team and execution came in second, and the idea, the differentiability, the ideas that now this isn't absolutely infinitive in no sense. But it very much surprised me that the idea wasn't the most important thing. Sometimes it matters more and more actually timed. The last two business model and funding make sense to me actually. I think business model makes sense to me is that low because you can start out without a business model, and then later if you can the customer demanding what you're creating. And funding, I think as well, if you're underfunding at first but you're getting traction, especially it's very easy to get intense funding. So now I'll give you some specific examples about each of these. So take a while success like Airbnb, everybody knows about it. That company famously passed on by many smart investors. People thought no one's gonna rent out. Of course, people proved that wrong. But one of the reasons succeeded was a great execution is the timing. That company came out right during the height of the recession when people really need extra money, and that maybe help people overcome their injection to operating out. Same thing with Uber. Uber came out, incredible company, incredible business model, great execution too, but the timing was so perfect for their need to get drivers and into system. Driver looking for extra money was very, very important. Some of the really success City Search came out with people needed web page. GoTo.com, which is announced actually in TED in 1998, was one of the company was looking for cost-effective ways to get traffic. We thought the idea was so great, but actually the timing was probably maybe more important. And then some of failures. We started a company called Z.com. It was an online entertainment company. We were so excited about it. We need even sign incredible talent, but broadband penetration was too low in 1999 and 2000. It was too hard to watch video content online. Had to put codecs, a browser to all of this stuff. And the company went out. Just 2 years later, when the codec problems were solved by Adobe Flash, and broadband penetration crossed 50% in America, YouTube was perfectly timed. Great idea, but unbelievable time. In fact, YouTube didn't even have a business model when it first started. But that was beautifully timed. So what I would say in summary is execution definitely matters a lot. The idea matters a lot, but timing might even more. And the best way to really assess timing is to really look whether consumers are ready for what you have to offer them, and to be really, really honest about it, not to be denied, but since you have something you love, you want to push forward, but if you're very honest about that, factor on timing. As I said earlier, I think startup can change the world and make the world a better place. I hope some of these insights can maybe help you to have a slightly higher success ratio, and that makes something great come to the world that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Thank you very much. You've been a great audience.